Okay, so you got it. Okay. So the observation that I have is about how things go full circle, but when they get back to the beginning, it's as though they've never been there before. So that's I just remembered again that poem of T.S. Eliot's. But what I gathered when Lynn shared her story with me was that it's almost a year, it's a few months out from when I was listening to Jessie talking about Mo, and I'd never heard about Mo before. And so I went to look him up, and I listened to, I can't remember what it was something about him, and I acknowledged that he was a really amazing human being. And then there was a time of struggle and tension, and I asked Jessie, why don't we take what we have to Mo? And Jess, you said, you didn't say much, but your body language was, that's a thought. And here we are almost 12 months later. And at that point, when you said it, when I asked you, why don't we do this? And I think I said to you, surely there are people around you. And remember, we're all only 6 degrees away from each other. And so when Lynn sent me this message this morning, that she'd gotten a message from Mo, I was completely blown away, because there's the connection. And the incredible thing about it is that for me, it means that what's being built through you, with people coming in and then scattering, that there's a meeting of minds. And of minds, by minds, I mean of vibration. So those vibrations have met. And it's around the most important thing that we have as a species to contend with now, which adds even more. So this is, for me, I find this hugely significant. And it again points to the importance of both the individual, the genius of the individual, and the gathering of us all to facilitate the reflection of that.
It is in the creation of a 5G organism. A 5D, sorry, 5D, not 5G, but a 5D.
Yeah.
which is above awareness, like fully engaged, involved together through the heart.
Yes. Which has the biggest electromagnetic field of all.
That's right. As the passions connect and align.
Mm-hmm.
It is and not how we think or not how we would expect and not in the time of it, but just when it does, is to gratefully honor it like you just did. How's Annette today?
Annette is doing fine, but she's just tired. So physically tired. Doing well. My internship is going really well. I'm excited every day that I go there. Doing well. That's part of my creation. That's why.
Mm-hmm. To the next phase, yeah.
Yep. Already started planning.
And executing.
Starting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Acting, engaging.
Got more information. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Dates, stuff like that, getting organized. So, yeah. And that's why I made the comment to Lynn before, like where you are now is one place, but it just gets bigger. The energy changes. It's just amazing.
And I think it gets harder.
Yes and no. It depends on what you're creating, what you're doing. Yes. The thing is, I'm going to switch on. I'm off mute all the time. The biggest thing is remove expectations. Just allow. That was a lesson for me to learn. And
still learning.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. The one thing that happened last year, I was not in fight or flight. I was in freeze mode. And so I would let things come at me and basically hit me. So the analogy would be if I was standing on a train tracks, I'd let the train hit me. I wouldn't jump out of the way. I wouldn't try to fight the train off. I'd just let it hit me and let it go through me. And that, even though it was not a great place to be, it has taught me to allow what it is to allow, not be afraid. Just sit back, accept, allow the information to come, but don't react. And then how does that work in your creation? It's amazing how you slow down the whole process. So.
Slow down time.
Mm-hmm. And there's times still that I get excited and I talk and the volume goes up and my son goes like this. Okay. And then I realize I have to bring it back down. But it's a different perspective, which was really an asset when it came for me to do negotiations recently, that the other side was wound up and emotional. And I just kept an even keel because I just let it come in. I dealt with it and moved it back out again. So the FOR, focus, observe, relax, or rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you notice how important that is, that process is. And trust. Trust is the big one too. But the energy is bigger, but not harder. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Bigger waves, but more centered in them too. So it's
A little bit of energy
Yep.
required to go one way or the other.
Yep. And then it's like comes down to the trust aspect of it, to trust, to listen. It's like, what is the message? What is the information? What is the action? What is the truth?
Right. Because sometimes the words is not what is actually being conveyed. There's other information being conveyed.
Yeah.
And if we can see the other person, we can get a lot of information that way too.
Mhm.
But if we don't see the other person, we have to rely on all our other tools to understand what is being conveyed and then work from that.
Mhm. It's so much easier to see it in others than it is in ourselves.
Yes, that was a big learning thing too. We get very skilled at working with others because that's what we do. We come to practices working with others, but working with ourselves is really tough. We're probably, well, we are our biggest critic, but we're also very blind to ourselves too.
But seeing it in others is that shortcut, right? Because what we see in others is just a reflection of what's us. The other is
But we
When we
don't
look at it that way. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
Alison.
No, that's what I was going to say is exactly what you said.
which is looking at it from our power.
Very good. Very
Back
good.
to that, like being in the wave, being centered in the wave, allow it to be and listen and trust. You know, it brings me back to on Saturday, I was saying this to Alison, I was absolutely exhausted and I had to bring the kids somewhere. So I said I'd go back to bed for a sleep. And it's so not my style. I don't do that kind of thing, but I was exhausted. And when I got into bed to sleep, I got whatever, and whatever you want to call it. I got a notion, or I got a message, or I got a whatever word you want to use to describe it, to meditate. So I meditated in bed. I turned around and I meditated. And then that was my release. That was like, I just broke down crying in meditation for no reason. There was a thought didn't come to my mind. There was nothing that you would say triggered it in that sense. An idea didn't come up. I wasn't pondering or reflecting on anything. I just broke out crying, and I cried and I sobbed and I released and I just let it be. Like, I don't like crying because it exhausts me. So I generally don't like crying. But this was like a cry, like it was weird. It was just all that I had flowed with and flowed through and trusted and allowed and sat in, and was like saying to me, you've got it. That was it. You've done the work. You've done it. And now it's over. And that's what I felt like. And after I cry, I was out of it. I was out of those 10, 14 days of feeling like, and I'll be honest, I said this to my friend, I'm not sure whether I said this to Alison, but one of those days and all that, I was like, really like, for the first time in a long time, felt suicidal, like to the point that I was looking at my kids and had no emotional connection to whether I was going to be here or not with them. That idea of them have been motherless wasn't even an idea, if that makes sense. You know, before you'd be like, oh yeah, the life is shit, but like you couldn't really, your kids need you. That wasn't a concept. It was just a complete detachment from that. That's where I was, say, going through that and living and surfing and being and understanding that this is my message, this is the growth, this is the process, this is the wisdom. Lean in, be with it. And if you can't sit with it, unpack it. So it was like I was in and out, sit with it. If you can't sit with it, just unpack it. See if there's anything here to unpack. And it was literally days of that and just feeling lonely. And then that Saturday, I went to bed, sleep, and it was like that nudge, meditate. And then it was just this big cry. And it was like, that was it. It was literally, I couldn't believe it. Like I went out and I had to bring them to like a party, and it was like, oh, it's over. It was like, oh. And it was like, oh, phew, storm is over. And it's like, it just felt, it was weird. It was like, you know, when you get a big like rain shower and then the sky's just clear.
Yeah.
So I can't remember even what triggered me to go from there. Oh, we were talking, yeah, about that, and I often play with that idea or that definition or that concept of hard, and I try not to use it because I feel that is my ego in judgment of parts of me and my experience. And then I feel a restriction with the definition or conclusion or judgment of it being hard. So when I move away from that judgment, it allows me to allow and to bring understanding and acceptance of that moment or the experience or the process. Where I find when I've often played with that like concept of it being hard a couple of times, and really what does hard mean, and what position am I in? Am I in my power, or am I in my victim mode to say that this is hard? And it's like, that's not my power. It's like sending that message to Alison the other day, basically. Like at the back of it was like, why the fuck are you putting this video up? Really? Because I was in victim mode. I was like, I am powerless to do anything about that. Like, I don't want to listen to that. Like, why put up that negativity? And it's like, as soon as I sent the message, it was like, where is your energy? Like, you're giving your power away. So I picked up my phone, deleted the message to Alison, and played that video. And it was like, it's just.
What was the video?
Was the
interview with Mo and Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Because their headline, the marketing on the video was something like, if you're thinking about having kids, don't have kids, AI or something. And I've been in the Mo environment message for quite a while. So I was aware of what I'm aware of his message and his concerns to the world. So after like kind of moving out of where I'd been, I was like, oh, Alison, come on, like I can't listen to that. And then I was just telling the story. I was just telling the story of the identity of feeling powerless and being powerless to do anything to change. And then when I realized that, I was able to actually step into my power and realize that I had a position here.
I loved how he started the interview. He started it off with, let's look at what is intelligence.
Oh, you have to listen. Oh my God, you have to listen to his one with Deepak. Okay. You have to. Like,
so I was listening last night to an interview through my psychological association, which I can't share, unfortunately, because it's a private channel. But he was being interviewed by a psychiatrist that works with psychedelics, and he was talking about what he understands, what happens when we use psychedelics, and how similar it is to certain yoga practices, and how it facilitates going beyond the senses. And the whole thing of consciousness, of course, because that's all his work. It always has been.
Mm.
So it's interesting that you got that interview, and I was listening to this other interview, and I was so tired last night, and I thought, I can't do this now. I thought, I have to.
So, Lynn, what would you like to tell Mo?
I want to make 1 billion people happy with you, Mo.
Oh, yes. Go for it.
Mm. Shut up, ego. Shut up.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, I'm going to spend time in circle work on that, to be fair, and I'm going to trust with what comes. And if it requires me to do anything right now, it does. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I find that these seeds can be planted, and then it's not until another space and time, a period of time has lapsed until that planting, the evidence of the planting of the seed becomes realized, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you can force these things and actually interrupt the natural growth or whatever it's meant to be. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not meant to know. So if I do get something in circle, I'll proceed. I'm not one to hold back or stay quiet.
Sometimes just the response is the answer.
Sometimes the response is the answer.
The answer was in your response, not the like in the truth was in your presence. And sometimes we don't even have to hear it. We just have to be able to see it. It's a frequency, it's a resonance, it's the energy. And yes, we think, oh, well, what do I do next? And it was like, well, maybe you just did it.
I'm pondering that, Jesse. I'm a bit confused about what you're saying to me. Like I just did it as in what I process now, or I just did it as in my already communication with him?
Both.
Yeah. What I was speaking to was as you pondered the question, the answer was there. Not in what you spoke, but how you responded. It was instant. The energy was there. The words were there. And what I mean is, like, when Mo sees that, there will be a version of him that is resonating, that responds to it no matter what you had to say. Just the fact that you said it aligned your intentions to it. And then that's the space to say, oh, what do we do now? Because we are always on the shoulders of giants. And that is the best thing that teachers want to hear, want to see, want to observe, is what impact, what change am I making? Because it is that trust of going along, seeing nothing for a long time.
So, Lynn, when was the last time you had a serious conversation with yourself? Just you, not in front of a mirror, just you.
I'm just out of it. that I just had a Hmm.
But you were dealing with your situation. But what about what you want to create?
Yeah, so thanks for asking that question, because since I've come out of that, that's what I've been drawn towards to do that. And it's funny enough because all things since then, so that's only Saturday gone, so we're in Tuesday. So all things since then have kind of been really around just allowing and flowing. So say, for example, I got my friend, she does, do you know heartfulness? Do you know heartfulness centered meditation?
No.
Am I even using the term right, Alison? Is there heartfulness?
I don't know the specific one that you're doing, and but there are definitely ones.
It's a massive organization. They're huge across the globe. And so she channels her masters, and they initiate the presence of the masters within you. So when you go for a sitting, you're actually being you're being connected with. It's all heart centered to remove the samskaras. So for example, why I'm telling you that is because yes, I'm being called to do that, but these moments keep on coming up. Like I made her bread and I went for a sitting with her. Like tomorrow, like I met my neighbor who I barely speak to. I met her coming home from the school run this morning, and a group of women go swimming on Wednesday mornings after the school drop off. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm being called to do. So even though that's not my natural thing to do these kind of like flow, and like I can't go and make a bread for my friend to start with because I don't have time to make a bread for her. And if I make a bread for her, well, then I have to make another one for my husband. So it's like, but I am just in that. I'm like, make a bread for her, go and sit with her after and have a coffee. And then another friend came along and who's also in that space. So these things are happening that I haven't officially and formally sat down in that regard. So say, for example, I got called to open an angel book to connect my angels last night because an angel card was sitting up on my bed for 2 days, and I kept on getting pulled into it. And it was that you need to connect your angels. I found an angel book I bought 5 years ago, opened it on a random page, and it was to sit and grind and open up to connect to my trust and intuition, to ask my angels in to help me with that. So that's I'm flowing with whatever message I'm getting to go with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Now, have you taken it one step further and had the conversation with yourself about how it all went? Have you congratulated yourself or told yourself, given yourself a high five? Have you had that conversation? So you can have a conversation to kind of figure out where you want to be and all that kind of stuff and all that. But have you had the conversation now that you've done all this?
No.
Have that conversation and answer back, because you'll go to an area deep inside you that you have not explored yet before, or it's an area that you don't want anybody else to know what you're really thinking or saying, because you might be doing cartwheels, but you don't want to show that you're doing cartwheels. But you can tell yourself, oh, I did so good. I was the best. Or, I know I did really good, but there's something inside me that's still pulling me the other way. And through that conversation, you can discover things, and it helps open things up some more. Celebrate yourself.
Oh, interesting. Alison's laughing because she knows that's not what I do. Are you, Alison? I guess she's laughing because she knows.
You're right, Lynn.
Yeah. And thank you. That is so valuable, because that's exactly what's necessary now.
Yeah.
I'm half laughing because I'm like in a nervous laugh. of how do I can't do that. That's weird. That's yeah, but it's so necessary. I didn't even consider doing it, to be honest.
That's the conversation starts right there. I can't do that. Oh, yes, you can, is the response. Well, how am I going to do it? And you give the answer.
How could I?
Mhm.
How could I? And mine was, well, how else are you going to make 1 billion people happy?
Hmm.
How could I? Those are the steps. That's what I heard. The early steps of it.
I'm so sad, guys, but I have to go to my dental appointment.
Yeah.
This is the best prep I could have had.
Mhm.
Wow.
Have a
Thanks,
great day,
AC.
Allison.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you
here.
so much. Thanks, Jess.
Mhm.
Thank you for the invite, Alison.
Oh, you're so welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye.
How could I? How else could I make 1 billion people happy? That's big. That is my next step. That's not where I've gone or allowed myself to go or been allowed to go till now,
Mhm.
because I am the director now. Mm.
And the director can tell yourself, it's okay. Here's the chair. Sit down.
And what could we do? Because it's not alone.
Oh, you expanded my heart.
It is the process we've gone through. It is discovering ourselves, discovering our victim, right? Our powerlessness, what we're granting authority to, what we're giving our power to, what we're orienting around and not even aware of it.
Mm.
And in going through it together, as we gather together, breaking through, scattering again and again and again. Not instantly, but every instant. Aimed at what we want, our power, focus, observe, relax, yes, and pulling the genius out of our passion, equally united together.
And trust.
And trust. Trust we're better together. Trust it's better than alone. Trust to relax. To be allowed to be run over by the freight train. To be consumed by the dark side. To let go of all attachments. That's how it is. Like all attachments, my motherhood included. I had to attach all of it, detach all of it, so that I could choose to reattach.
To the knowing of the oneness.
Mm-hmm. As a reorientation, it's different, right? It is completely different, yet it's still the same. You're still mom. You're still in, but from you or your orientation, your perspective, it's completely different, I assume. And still uncovering like what that is, what that means, how that goes.
For life.
For life, it is. It's and I mean, just to say that shows the awareness, shows the humanity of it, shows the gratitude for it, which shows the journey not the destination.
No.
I don't think it will ever be replaced. Yet that's what we could become aware and awakened to. Our role in it all, which is what I hear is Mo's message.
Mm.
Not to fear it, right? Not to be consumed by it, not to be entangled it, but to create it and learn how to be creators.
Mm.
Powerful creators.
Mm. 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 Which brings me back to it all lies within us when we trust and go within, which brings me back to Annette's recommendation or guidance into the next step. All that can happen, but if I'm not connecting back, or if we're not connecting back into the communication and the connection to our source, which is the heart, which is the love. Love keeps on coming up here. Then the circle isn't complete.
And it has to start with love for yourself. You can love thousands of other things, but you got to love yourself first and learn how to love yourself. It's not an easy job either.
It's the disguise of, like, I would truly say that I do love myself. But it's the disguise of, you see where there's a sneaky hidden identity there where the circle is complete. I can go through the dark night of the soul and come out and have that like unveiling and awareness. And then where I'm gone back off into, how then do I bring that? You asked me that question, Annette, and I'm in, okay, how can I create to serve other people? But if I can't come back in here and connect with me, who is the all anyway, and reconfirm the unveiling or the learning or the connection or the love from within, then I'm just going to have to, I haven't completed the circle. I'm going to have to relive or re-experience until it's just an awareness. So like that identity can be so sneaky in holding on and maintaining its position within your reality. And that's why it's so important to have these mirrors, like ourselves to each other and one another, because I wouldn't have seen that. And now that I am where I am, I can recognize that and connect to it and realize it, to integrate it, to truly step into my wholeness. So that then in that, that's how I serve. I would have went off on the trajectory of trying to chase how I'm going to serve without that coming back home with it first.
Yeah, there's no reason to chase, because it'll come to you. As long as you sit between that plus and minus, the longer you sit in that plus or minus, the more you're going to experience it, and it becomes easier. And it becomes you. Because all you have is you. And things come to you then. Things unfold. You put it out there. You don't have to chase. You don't have to force. You just suggest. And it comes. It's planting the seed, like you had said, right?
Yeah.
Of course, there's times we have to become a little creative. There's nothing wrong with becoming creative, but we don't have to force.
No. And that's where I feel at the moment. Like that's it. It's like when you asked me that question, I went into the intellectual drive of, oh yeah, now I have to sit and see how this is going to shape and create, but I'm bringing it out to the world. Whereas that's going to be kind of futile when there's a missing ingredient from the pie. which is come back in here and have the conversation with myself. Which is just an identity. I haven't done it because it's an identity. I can't acknowledge my greatness.
I'm so excited for you, Lynn.
Oh, you're so beautiful. Thank you.
This is a whole new area for you, and I'm so excited.
Oh,
I want to hear about it in 3 and 6 months' time. Your journey in this.
mm. I feel it. I know it.
Mhm.
Mm.
It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
thank you for sharing with us.
thank you, Jesse. It's been an absolute pleasure, and an honor. And I'm just humble. I'm just humble and really grateful.
Yeah,
So
me
thank
too.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Annette.
Jesse. Thank you. This gave me the rest that I needed.
Yeah, wonderful. Great. Well,
Yes. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Take care. Have
Yeah.
a great afternoon and great evening.
Yes,
bye-bye.
thank you.
Big love. Bye.
Bye all.